Hi everyone, my name is Maya Normandy and I am the UCSB student rep for Global Student Embassy. Thank you all for showing up to watch this live webcast tonight. I will be going over the GSE Spanish University Immersion trip this July. So just briefly, if you all want to take a minute to set the quality preference to 720, that will ensure a smoother viewing experience. Also, there is a bit of a lag time. So at the end of the presentation, I will be taking the time to answer any questions. Also, Sean, who is one of my supervisors, will be helping to answer questions. So there is a chat box to the right of the screen. If any questions pop up for you throughout this presentation, go ahead and type them out and I will answer them at the end. So basically, I have been working with Global Student Embassy for 6 years. I'm currently a third year at UC Santa Barbara, and I went on a total of 2 trips when I was in high school. So I've been working with them for a long time, and I recently led a spring break trip at Seattle University last year. So this year, we are creating a new trip that is different in the aspect, in the sense that it involves a Spanish immersion language portion with one of the most esteemed group of language instructors in Ecuador. And on top of that, it allows multiple students from universities across the country to travel together. So this is a great opportunity to travel abroad and to meet lots of new people. So I am going to go ahead and start this presentation. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so once again, I'm presenting on the student trip to Global Student Embassy this summer. Basically, Global Student Embassy is a nonprofit organization that works to promote environmental stewardship and youth empowerment through cross-country collaboration. So Global Student Embassy is based out of Northern California. However, we work with universities across the country, and the countries that we predominantly work in besides the US are Ecuador and Nicaragua. So in our mission, we have 4 basic pillars that we work to promote throughout our programs. The first is action education. We work hard to educate individuals within the communities at different school levels that action education is the best way to learn. So we do projects that are actually in the field. Through this, we are able to promote youth leadership and development, focusing on students that work together to create their own solutions to our global environmental issues. And that's where the global interaction comes in. We have students working cross-culturally, doing an exchange so that we are able to experience the problems that are happening across the world, specifically in Ecuador, deforestation, in Nicaragua, non-sustainable agriculture, which is the next pillar, so we can work together to address these issues. So this summer, the trip is beginning in Cuenca, which is the lower star, which is located in the Andes Mountains. That's where we will spend the first program language immersion. The upper left-hand star is Bahia de Caracas, which is the location for our local reforestation efforts, where we will be spending the second half. And the red dot in the middle is the capital, Quito. Most likely we will be flying into Guayaquil, which is a white dot located south of Bahia and west of Cuenca. So the basic itinerary for the trip is laid out for 18 days starting July 6th. The first day and a half are spent traveling and heading to Cuenca for a city tour. The third day, we will meet the professors of the SADI Spanish organization, and we will take a placement exam. And that weekend, we will begin the immersion experience with a homestay weekend with local families. Following that weekend, we will have 5 days of Spanish immersion classes with the SADI organization. So the awesome thing about this trip is all Spanish levels are welcome. Like I said, when we get there, we will begin with a Spanish placement exam, and they will place us into a different class with a different level of instruction. So you can come speaking no Spanish. That's a perfect opportunity to have the in-classroom instruction and then later have the actual interaction with local Ecuadorians to further practice your Spanish. After that, like I said, we have the homestay weekend and then 6 full days of Spanish instruction. These teachers that we will be working with run most of the study abroad programs in Ecuador, so they are highly trained and very professional in these language immersion courses. After that, we will get the opportunity to explore the beautiful Andes Mountains. We will travel to the National Cajas Park, where there's a picture of here. I encourage you to Google it. It's beautiful. There's lots of pictures of alpacas and animals just roaming around. And the next day, that will be our travel day to Valle de Caracas area, specifically to the San Clemente reforestation site, which is located right next to the beach. So for a brief history of why we work in Valle de Caracas, Ecuador actually suffers from one of the world's worst rates of deforestation. And specifically in this area, the area suffered a number of earthquakes, 2 large earthquakes within a number of years, and in combination with El Nino, heavy rainfall, and the lack of trees to hold in the earth, there were large mudslides that resulted in more infrastructural damage in addition to the earthquakes. So after these events, the city banded together to work to become what they call an eco-city. So when we are down there, you will see how committed the local community members and the students from an elementary school to a high school level, how committed they are to preserving the environment. So in addition to the reforestation that we will do, we will also be working with the local students on specific school projects, which I will explain later. So once we get to Bahia, we will reforest in San Clemente. As you can see, it's on the beach, which is awesome. And we will get to do a number of other eco projects in Bahia. And finally, the last chunk of days will be more of our relaxing, exploring in Puerto Lopez, where we will get to do some snorkeling, maybe some surfing. It's the height of the whale watching season there, so whale watching. We will also get to visit an indigenous community and learn about their history, explore the beach caves there, and the indigenous community also has a sulfur mud bath that we will most likely get to enjoy. These are some general pictures of what the reforestation looks like in the tropical dry forest. As you can see, there are traveling and local students working together to plant the native trees. This is a slide that shows the awesome biodiversity in Ecuador and some of the wildlife that we may encounter while we are down there. And finally, something fun to think about are the evenings after long, hard days of work reforesting in the sun. We get to hang out, have some bonfires on the beach, lay on hammocks, drink some beers, share stories, and it's an awesome time to relax and get to know the people we are with. So these are some photos of specific school projects GSE has done in the past. This specifically is at the local high school, Fanny de Baird, and they are working on creating smaller garden plots. This is one of my favorite pictures here. It is of the around 110 years old, probably older, we're not quite sure. This is a tortoise from the Galapagos named Miguelito. And this specific project was done in an elementary school where he lives. And because he is a big, slow tortoise, the children would ride him and scratch on his shell and draw on him and sort of abuse him. So one of the projects was creating an enclosure for Miguelito that you will all see when we are down there. Miguelito's awesome. He likes bananas, as you can see by his mouth. This is a photo of not exactly the mangroves, but we will be going canoeing through the mangroves. This group of individuals are on their way to the mangroves. I encourage you to Google mangroves. They're awesome trees that grow in the mud along estuaries, and we will have the opportunity to view the mangrove ecosystems that exist with the clams and crabs and fish, and also we will hopefully have the opportunity to, if not reforest mangroves, at least army crawl through the sinking mud to view where the mangroves grow, which usually ends up in a mud fight. Last spring when I was there, it ended up in a very, very large, unexpected mud fight between all of the participants, which was super fun. This right here is a picture of the local greenhouse that the high school students have created, and they work to prepare the saplings that we then bring out to reforest. So this trip, we want to reiterate that the students' health and safety are our top priority. So while we're on the trip, we have lots of in-country staff and security that make sure that all of the students are safe, and healthy the entire time. Transportation is always private. Housing, we will stay in local hostels. While we were in Bahia, we actually stay in a 3-story bamboo hostel that GSE made, which is so awesome. And like I said, again, super safe, highly trained staff. The one scary thing about this project is the cost. So the general cost is quite a large number. It's around $2,600 in addition to the flight. Flight prices will vary depending on how soon you register. Obviously, if you register sooner, flights will be cheaper, and also where you are flying from in the country. So the registration deadline is at the end of the month, February 29th, and it requires you to pay a $250 registration fee. After that, the first payment will be $750 more to complete a $1,000 payment at April 30th, and then the final payment will be June 5th. Once you complete your first payment, we will pair you up with our travel agent who will help you find the flight. So the important thing to realize is that while this money does go towards supporting your transportation and your food and your housing, a huge chunk of it goes towards supporting GSE as a nonprofit and also individuals, students from Nicaragua and Ecuador. It allows them to have the opportunity to travel to the United States to see the projects that we are working on there. So while it is a big cost, you are also helping fund other students have the same opportunity that you are having. In addition, we have lots of comprehensive fundraising methods to help you reach this goal. I partook in 2 trips in my high school experience and fundraised 100% of both of them. If you are committed and if you stay on task, it is completely possible to fundraise the whole cost. And once again, I am here to help you throughout that process. We work together to create group fundraisers. Our main source is through Empowered, which is a website similar to Kickstarter that you will register on, and it tracks your fundraising and how close you are to your goal, and you are able to then share this information with friends and family and have them donate. So once again, fundraising for your trip, it will be a bit different since we will be across the country, but we will generate weekly meetings to make sure you're on task. There are external grants and scholarships you can look for if you are concerned about the cost. I highly recommend contacting your school's financial aid advisors. They can often give you tips. And again, this is a service trip. It is an immersion trip. It will highly reward you with your Spanish skills, your worldly skills. In addition, you're doing an awesome thing for the environment, and people really do want to support you. So there is limited enrollment for registration. The link is up here. If you go to globalstudentembassy.org/registration, it will appear. You will get a confirmation email once you register. My email is below, college@globalstudentembassy.org. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask. And once again, I just want to reiterate that the Spanish immersion comes from the classroom intensive learning process, the homestay with the Ecuadorian family, and working side by side with locals to hone in on your Spanish speaking skills while also reforesting. So I want to take this time to ask if there are any questions. And I know there is a bit of a lag, but if you have any questions, please comment in the question section. Also, if you have questions that I cannot answer now, if for some reason you don't want to ask them now, please send me an email at college@globalstudentembassy.org, and I will love to answer your question there. Okay, so I am going to end this presentation. Oh, there's one question. The question is, once we are registered, are we insured a spot on the trip? Yes, once you pay your $250 registration fee, you are insured a spot on the trip. And once again, the deadline is at the end of the month. So try to do it as soon as you can because spots will fill up. In addition, if you have any friends who you think might be interested for this trip, let them know. This is open to all university students. Also students who are seniors this year and who are graduating before this summer, you will still get to participate. All right, if you have any more questions, please comment them on the video and I will do my best to get back to you. Thank you all for your time and I hope you have a wonderful evening.